I am so glad to have you. What's up?
Hey, glad to be had.
Yeah, well, absolutely. It's been a couple years. The last time we had you, you were getting ready to meet your on-screen demise on Justified. The last time we had you on, so that happened. In the meantime, you were killed on Justified. That was a big deal.
Oh my gosh! Man, that seems like ages ago. I guess it was.
Well, you've done so much, Brad. We talk about your career. We talk about life's little mysteries and life's little adventures most of the time when we talk to you. But your career has always been such an interest to me because I'm such a huge fan of your work, and that's just being honest, and that's as someone that's talking to you as a friend of the shows. But your work has been so great. Like I said, the last time we talked, you were about 2 weeks away from being killed with a right hook on Justified. I loved that show. I just the whole thing. I mean, Walter Goggins, Timothy Oliphant. What a great show that was, and to be a part of that final season had to be special for you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Clint. It's been a fun ride, and since FNL has been over, it's been really a great traveling experience because I go in and guest star and do different shows, and it's always kind of like, it's exciting. It feels like right before a game, actually, because it's the butterflies of your first day of work. It's always a new group of people you're working with. Fortunately, it's sometimes some of the other actors and some of the other crew members, but I've just been traveling around and going. I continued to do that show in France. I did not do it this year, but I did it last year and got to take my wife over there with me to Paris, and we had a great time on 2 different occasions shooting there. And then I've been in L.A. a lot. I just shot a movie in L.A. or actually a TV series there, and I've been enjoying a lot of New Orleans, which I have not been to New Orleans since the hurricane.
Yep.
And we used to shoot a lot over there because living in Texas, it was close by, and it seemed to be a lot of work in Louisiana over the years. And recently, they've had such a great incentive program, tax incentive program in the state that they've really been the third coast between New Orleans and every place in Louisiana, and then in Atlanta. There's just been most of the businesses have been there, and there's some in the Carolinas, but I've been doing a lot of traveling and a lot of New Orleans. I really enjoyed New Orleans last year when we did Deepwater Horizon, so that's been fun.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Deepwater Horizons with Mark Wahlberg, of course, and you got this film coming out that I'm really interested in, The Domestics. I assume that's a film. That's kind of popping off here. It looks like very interesting, very, kind of a hardcore film, with some deep-rooted, maybe socioeconomic issues going on. It looks very good, though, The Domestics. Where'd you shoot that, and when can we expect to see something from that?
Yeah, I don't know when that comes out, but I shot that at Thanksgiving. In fact, I didn't even get home until midday Thanksgiving, which was very unusual. Usually I cook for the entire family, and usually have all my sisters and all of their nieces and my nieces and nephews, and I usually cook for about 16 or 18 people,
wow.
A couple of friends. So this was the first Thanksgiving in about 25 years that I wasn't working my butt off preparing food for 3 days. So it was kind of nice to just to come home and have a much smaller and much different Thanksgiving, and that's when I got home. We shot in New Orleans, and it's post-apocalyptic, Mad Max type of feel. Maybe I wouldn't want to say that, not knowing how the film will really, pan out. Just to give you an idea, though, it is that sort of that in the future, there's a lot of bad guys and there's a lot of gang. This young couple, Kate Bosworth, and the young man is Tyler Hoechlin, who I guess most people know him from Supergirl. He's kind of a new young star. I didn't really know who he was, but he's a great actor, and so I'm a very extremely horrible human being in that movie. I mean, it's the first time I played a bad.
This is a first, Brad.
Talk about a bad. This is a really, really, really bad guy, and I had a ball with him. I think he looks like something between Kenny Rogers and Charlie Daniels, and he's a bad guy. I can't really reveal what happens because it would give away too much of the movie.
Sure.
But I jumped on that because he was just. I haven't played such a despicable human being in a long time. Plus, it's very futuristic. Had some really interesting makeup and costume choices, and it's probably going to be a scary movie. I mean, it's a thriller, and it's pretty gory. So I'm sure it'll probably deem an R rating, and it was fun though. Watching those two young people, just they had a lot of energy, and they're really both very good actors. I spent just a few days with them, and everything I did was basically with just those two actors. So it was a good time.
Well, Brad, a lot of people talking about so much positive press coming this past June. That there was the 10-year Friday Night Lights reunion. First of all, 10 years, it's unbelievable that show started in 2006. It's just surreal to think about that. But to see that cast all back, and I'm just, I'll never forgive myself for not coming down to Austin for that reunion back this past June. Just kind of talk about what that was like, getting with those castmates, and just rehashing some of the memories of one of the greatest shows ever. It's my favorite show of all time, Brad. I told you that last time. And just what was that like for you? It had to be a great feeling.
Yeah, it was like we had not. It was almost like we hadn't been apart, and they actually held most of the event on the field where we shot all of our home games, at least, and where we had the coaches' locker rooms, the offices. So it was really incredible. It just felt like that same family all back again, and then
wow.
The entire field was filled with fans who, many of them had been the background artists and the people of Dillon who supported the show all those years, coming back and playing all those characters of the town. They were there, and it really was a great homecoming, and it just felt like we were all still family, and it was also cool to see Jesse.
Yeah.
Jesse was there, and he had this very hot little blonde on his arm, and we were on the bus, and we were having a cocktail on the bus, and I looked down, and there was this gorgeous young blonde looking up, and she said, "Oh, hi, buddy. I know it's not buddy, but I love you, blah blah blah." And it was Kirsten Dunst.
Oh my God.
And I oh my gosh, you're Kirsten Dunst. She also starstruck. Oh my gosh, yeah. And then how unusual that just I believe Jesse told me it was the middle of December he proposed to her. So they are now proposed. They're now engaged.
Wow.
To be married.
I didn't know that.
Landry and Kirsten Dunst.
Who would have thought it? I mean, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Jesse's done some despicable roles himself over the past few years. Breaking Bad, he was a pretty despicable human being in Breaking Bad, and he's just not at all like the Landry character. But Brad, this show, it touched so many people, and I think that, and we talked last time about how the fact that Netflix has kept it alive so much over the past few years since it's been on Netflix. People that didn't get a chance to see it on NBC, and it never made sense to me how the show didn't have more popularity when it aired. But now it's on Netflix. Everyone's seen the show now, and Buddy Garrity is everyone's favorite character. I told you last time, Brad, that my sister, my dear sister, said that she wished that that Buddy Garrity was her father. Okay, and she's still lived that moment for the last couple years since we did that interview. Your character evolved so much though over time because. Buddy was kind of the sleazy guy, sort of, but your character evolved. How much of that was just you versus the writers? I mean, you just became such a hit on the show that you redeemed yourself. You had your son come in. You were a good father. I mean, you had some good moments, Brad. I mean, Buddy came around full circle, I think, finally.
I tried. The only regret I I kept continuing to beg the writers and the producers to give me a woman. Please, can I have another wife? Can I have a girlfriend? No, no, you can't. No, you have to pay. You have to pay dearly. I'm like, I've paid for years now. Come on, don't even get a date. What the heck? What the heck?
Hey,
you know, and I never got around to Buddy having another girlfriend. You know, so he did have to pay, and he redeemed himself, I suppose, by taking care of his son. But I don't know. Did I tell you the story of how the script sort of, when you ask about if it was real life or what, the thing that happened with Buddy Jr. I call him Bud Light, by the way.
Perfect.
Still call him Bud Light, you know, and we still have a great relationship. He's a great friend now, and we're still working all the time. And anyway, the way his character happened. I don't know if I told you this.
I don't think you did last time. Yeah.
One of my favorite stories that came from that was that his first evening when he really got suited up, and now in the episode, I don't remember what episodes, but now he's going to be a player, and he's made the team, and he's doing well, and he goes out, and he's, that's going to be the way his character changes and gets off drugs and starts being a good kid. His football's going to change his life, and blah, blah, blah. And that's the way they had it written. And it was going to make Buddy proud, and, and that's all very nice and good. But actually what happened was he, on his very first night that he went out and got suited up, and they went through some plays and stuff, and Buddy made the great tackle, and when he ran to the sidelines, everybody was high-fiving him and patting him on the shoulder, and the whole team was gathering around him for doing well. And one of those giant linemen accidentally jumped on Jeff Bud Light's ankle, and he fell to the ground. And I was standing there, of course, on the sidelines, and the proud father. And I looked at Jeff, and I said, "Man, are you okay?" And he goes, "I don't think so." And within 15 minutes, we found out that his Achilles tendon was torn in half.
Oh, my gosh.
And this was in real life. And so I immediately freaked out because I thought, oh, no. They're going to write him out of the show. And this was his first big show.
Yeah.
And they were just going to send him back to California and just write him out. And that would ruin the whole storyline with Buddy and his son. And they were going to have to rewrite and redo and all this. And so I immediately conveyed a story to them, which is really the end of this long-winded story. And that was that Jeff went ahead and had the operation there by the team doctors, the University of Texas team doctors, had the surgery the next week to repair the Achilles. They kept him in the script, and you saw how his character became a part of the team, even though he didn't get to play. He changed as a young man and really started to learn about life and all the good things that happened for him. He shot. With that, after the surgery, they gave him about a week or so to recover, and then he came in and shot the rest of the season, and then you saw how his character developed and how they allowed him to be a part of the team. Well, the ironic thing about this, and the thing that I told the writers when this first happened, I immediately called them and told them my story. I said how much more interesting it would be if his character changed and he stayed on the team. Please don't write him off, because in my real life,
you got hurt
at the state championship game in Texas at Memorial Stadium. I was standing on the sidelines on crutches.
Yeah, 1971.
So history repeated itself on that show in real life, and it was just so ironic that would happen. And it gave more depth to the story and to the character than just having him come in and be a great stud and go on to play. This way it showed, hey, you could be a part of the team and not even get to play.
It was perfect, yeah.
That really happened in my real life. It was just really bizarre.
Yes.
And so, anyway.
Yeah, I'd read that about you in the 1971 state championship for Plano, not able to play due to an injury. I mean, you were around those guys. You saw them. I mean, they had to go through drills and play football. Who of all the cast members, of all the people from Scott Porter and all these guys, who and Taylor Kitsch, who was the best? Who was like you know football? Who was the most natural athlete? Who was the best football player actually naturally on the show?
Well, all of those guys were pretty good athletes. Gaius was very strong and athletic, although I don't think he had played a lot of sports. And if he had, I think he might have played some basketball. But Gaius was more into being an intellectual, and it was kind of interesting that he would be the star running back. But Scott had played sports, and Scott was a pretty good player. Of course, Taylor Kitsch was a great natural athlete. He had been a hockey player in Canada, and probably could have gone on and played pro hockey because he's just kind of got that sort of mentality, and he's a good enough hockey player that had he stayed with it, he probably would have played. So he was able to pick up football quickly, and he was a good player. Now, the most obvious and the funniest thing is the one who had actually played football and been on a state championship team here in Texas was Jesse, Landry.
Ah, yes.
He was a player, and he played for a very tiny little high school just outside of Waco. But he had experienced high school football, and he wasn't very fast, but he was a good player. He could throw and he could catch. He wasn't the fastest guy out there, but Kitsch was fast, and Scott Porter could definitely throw. Now, I tell you, he's a strong and good player, but he had not played a lot as Saracen.
Sure.
Zach. I would say the best athlete was probably Kitsch, and then Porter had played a lot, and then Landry was a pretty natural, gifted talent in every way. He's a great guitar player. He's got a great singing voice, and he's an all-around talented guy. So that's kind of how that went as far as who was the best players.
Well, what do you think the legacy of this show is going to be over time? I mentioned earlier about how the show struggled to get getting views early on for NBC. The ratings struggle, but luckily, thanks to DirecTV, it was able to come back for seasons 3, 4, and 5. Again, to me, the greatest television drama of all time is Friday Night Lights, Brad. And what do you think the legacy is going to be? Because now that we talked about it's on Netflix, people can binge watch it. People have seen the show. What do you think the legacy is going to be for Friday Night Lights as we go on into the next millennia?
I just hope that they can come up with something else that's similar. I mean, because you don't really see a lot of shows. I mean, they've tried, I think, to sort of duplicate a show that's about family and community and is a drama and yet has lighthearted moments and has things that people can connect to. I suppose there's shows out there that come close, but I've not found any that are really in the same. It's like that genre really isn't there. It's the dramas are just not that lighthearted and yet poignant, and then I don't know. It may be a long time before we see another show like that. We're all proud of it, but I've never seen any better television than last year's Fargo. To tell you the truth, watching last season of Fargo was some of the best television I've ever seen. And I'm also really digging Ray Donovan. You talk about some great act. Of course, now these are different.
Sure.
They're much different stories than what we were talking about. But maybe FNL is the maybe it's the Andy Griffith show of our time.
That's a great way to put it. Hopefully, we'll see it on TV Land at some point for years to come. And Brad, just you being a part of it, you were part of the movie, of course, too. And the movie really set the scene. I'd read the book long before that, and really, I thought that the movie Varsity Blues was actually sort of a take of the Friday Night Lights story back in the late 90s with James Van Der Beek and Paul Walker, and then to actually finally see a movie made of it back in 2004 was great to see. And it was kind of one of those deals like when the show first started, it was like, I remember that guy, that Booster guy, he was in the movie kind of doing the same thing. Just something about your character was just the greatest thing. I mean, you just had this like multi-layered like way about you, the way that you dealt with people, the way you dealt with situations. You just had, and you as an actor have this just unbelievable just vibe about you, where when you're on screen, people are just drawn to you. Your eyes just like you go to you, and you're just like, oh, that's Brad Leland, and that's a testament to you. I really love your acting style and just in everything you do, Brad. So thanks for doing it. Keep doing it.
I think that's a God-given thing. God gave me a big old huge fat head. That's why. If you got a big old face and a big old head, and they put it on TV, you can't miss it. Plus, I got a big old huge hook nose to go with it. So I read where some guy, for some sort of social media, somebody said, "Boy, I have the most punchable face in the world." Some guy just really wants to punch me in my face, and but anyway,
No.
I don't deserve it. I don't think. I don't know.
No, and you've got, we talked about, because, my sister, of course, is the biggest Buddy Garrity fan on the planet. She's sitting in here on the interview today, checking it out. She had to come to the studio and check it out because she's what's funny, Brad? I've interviewed literally hundreds of current and former athletes for our show here, and the one name that everyone wanted to ask me about was Brad Leland. I was like, Brad Leland's coming back on, and everybody had a Buddy Garrity story or Buddy Garrity-ism. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty cool.
It is fun. I'm glad to hear that. I'd like to know some of them, as a matter of fact.
Well,
maybe I have to get them all together and write a book or something.
Well, you should.
All these stories, people's real life stories of all the Buddy Garritys they know, and put it together. Who knows? Maybe you and I should do that.
I think we should. I still think my favorite Buddy Garrity moment is when you claim Pam was going to get married and your wife was gone for good finally, and Coach Taylor, in a very awkward situation, you tell him that you're going to go get your wife back by God. That's my favorite one. Going to go get my wife back by God. And it didn't work. Sadly, it didn't work.
I thought maybe it was going to work, and the writers just wouldn't buy it. I kept saying, no, I am going to get her back, right?
It's still going to happen. Yeah.
Never tell me.
She can't be with that tree hugger for much longer.
Yeah, you just didn't. There was no way. She had to go to California and become vegan with her tree hugger. Well, I think that's what he called him.
Yeah.
I think Buddy called him a tree hugger.
Yes, that was it, Buddy. Hey, Brad, I tell you, just everything you've done, and just from us personally here at the Great American Sports Network, we can't thank you enough. The times we've kept in touch. We've kept in touch with your manager Sean the last couple of years because he's great at what he does. He's awesome. I told him, keep us in touch. If Brad's ever in Kansas City, you gotta hook that up. And Brad, I hope you will let Sean know if that ever happens, so we can get you out here for some real barbecue. I know in Texas you guys got some pretty good barbecue, but here in Kansas City it's the real deal, Brad. The real deal here.
I know. There's that big. Everybody's got the barbecue, and heck, I like them all, man. I'll be good with it. There's not too many food, as you well know. You can just take a look at me and tell. I love them, no doubt about that. I'll like it no matter what it is. Especially Japanese food. I can really relate to some Japanese food.
I wouldn't have guessed that for some reason. I don't know why, but that's you can't go wrong.
I'm a foodie. Yeah, I'm a foodie. Somebody asked me the other day what my favorite food was. I think they nearly died when I told them that I like foie gras and things like sweetbread that you can't get and I shouldn't probably even eat sweetbreads because they're probably the most cholesterol laden food on the planet. But having been to Paris and experienced some of that. Plus, we've got it all here in Dallas too. I love Asian food. I love it all, man.
What is it about Texan actors? Because the Texas guys stick together. You think about some of the productions that go on down there, and you see a lot of Texas actors. You think about like even movies like Dazed and Confused, where it was Matthew McConaughey's first time. It was just like a lot of Texas actors, and there's a lot of movies like that. Friday Night Lights was like that. You've been involved. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake was like that to a certain extent. You brought in like the Jessica Biels and stuff like that. But you Texas guys, Texas actors kind of stick together in a lot of these productions. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I hope that our state government will continue to give us some tax incentives here so that we can continue to produce films here. I looked at the list of all the great movies that have been made here over the years, even back starting with old pictures long ago, like Giant, we shot in Marfa, and when you look at the list of the great films that have been made here, and even the duration of some of the TV shows. Of course, Dallas was a worldwide phenomenon for many years. I think it was for 12 years, and people knew it worldwide. And then, of course, it had its remake, and then a Walker Texas Ranger is as funny as people, as much fun as people make of it.
Sure.
It was on for 10 years here, and then our show was 5. There's other shows that have lasted a long time, so hopefully we can continue to make things in Texas.
Well,
I haven't worked here once since FNL.
Wow.
I've been everywhere else, but my newest one's a comedy. I had some fun on it. It's on the Hulu network called Angie Tribeca.
Oh, yep, got that right here in the notes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a 30-minute. It's a comedy, and Rashida Jones it's Quincy Jones' daughter. She's the leading actress, and then Steve Carell is one of the executive producers.
Yes.
So hopefully, it's in its 3rd season. I think people are really liking it. It's a funny little comedy.
Absolutely.
So I just did that. December, we'll see what's next. I've got a Western coming up, and hopefully be back in New Mexico shooting soon.
Oh, absolutely.
I would love to be in New Mexico right now while we got some snow up there and can do a little snow skiing.
Absolutely. Well, you keep it up, because we love seeing you and everything that you do. You're just a tremendous talent, and I know that you're an avid golfer as well. So maybe we'll get you here at some of one of our good courses here. We could set that up too next time. If you're ever in the KC area, I know we don't film a lot of movies here, but we do have some good golfing up here. I know you're a pretty good scratch golfer. Yeah.
Well, I'm not a scratch golfer. That's for sure.
No.
I love the game. In fact, I did notice how when we were in New Orleans last summer shooting Deepwater, Wahlberg is hooked. I mean, he is a fanatic. He actually plays. He plays before he goes to the set, and he'll even play running. He'll have a caddy that drives the cart, and he and his buddies get a workout in by running to their ball. And he has just become such a golfer that even on the set, we had one of those video game rooms set up where we could hit balls into the screen and go play different courses. A very nice one, I might add, and he would play every day. In between scenes, we'd go into there and hit balls. It was fantastic.
How great.
Actually.
Brad, thank you so much for calling in today. We cannot thank you enough. You've just been such a pleasure. Let's stay in touch. Again, we'll do it again. Well, let's not go 2 years this time. Maybe we'll get our teams to a Super Bowl and get met up that way. How's that sound?
Okay, Clint. You have a great day, buddy.
You betcha, Brad. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You betcha. Bye-bye.